know that spiritual burnout was a thing. I didn't. And I've fallen prey to it many, many times. And I always just thought it was me, that I was not experienced enough, that perhaps I'd missed something, I was stupid, I wasn't gifted enough, and all sorts of things. But it's actually none of these things. So today I am going to give you 6 tips to help you overcome spiritual burnout. Okie dokie. So, tip number 1 is chill out. Okay, because the first mistake to make is to beat yourself up about it and berate yourself for feeling that way, and making yourself bad, making yourself feel bad because you feel bad. And you'll just end up in a never-ending spiral. You know, sometimes in life we go through periods where we feel down and where we feel, you know, demotivated by things that usually bring us pleasure. And unless this is going on for months on end and is with everything new in your life, in which case I would say please see a medical practitioner, because you know, there might be some underlying issue. If it's just to do with one area of your life, and specifically today we're talking about your spiritual journey, with specifics to tarot card reading, then it could just be any number of things that are causing it. But the main thing is just to go with the flow. All right, we go through stages, we go through cycles. It can be to do with your cycles. It could be to do with lunar energy. It could be to do with the fact that you're super busy at work, that, you know, you're not getting on with someone in your family, and, you know, it could be a whole host of things. So please, the first tip is just is chill out. All right, go with the flow and just allow yourself to go through this lull. It's okay. It happens to everybody. Don't beat yourself up. Tip number 2 is stop comparing yourself to others. If I had to count the number of times I did this and continue to do this, then oh lordy, you know, I go through Instagram and I go, oh my god, you know, Effie's got such lovely posts, and look at the way she does this, and you know, and I haven't done that yet, and I don't know how to do that on YouTube, and I don't know, oh my goodness me. You'll end up on a downward spiral and you will never return. Everybody is individual. Everybody expresses themselves in different ways. Everybody learns in different ways. And everybody has different life experiences and life circumstances. You cannot compare yourself to others because there isn't anybody else like you. And whilst it's nice to have, you know, somebody that you can look up to and aspire to because you admire qualities about them, don't berate yourself because you can't do as well as them, or feel that you're unable to compete with them, or you aren't as good as them, or for whatever reason. Okay, you are you, and you were made that way for a specific reason. Why? Because the world needs you, specifically you. All right, they don't need 3 or 4 of another person, or 5 or 6 of another person. They need you specifically. So please do not compare yourself to others. All right, don't compare how quickly you're learning. Don't compare you know, how quickly you pick things up. Don't compare how intuitive you are compared to the next person. Don't compare how often you do your readings, how quickly you come up with the meanings of cards. Just stop it. You do things the way that you do things, and that is the perfect way. All right, so second tip is stop comparing yourself to others. Third tip third tip is stop having unrealistic goals. We all know what it's like at the beginning of the year. Everyone goes, oh yeah, it's, it's a new year, it's a new start. I'm going to do this year, and I'm going to read, my cards every single morning for an hour, and then I'm going to do an hour of yoga, and then I'm going to meditate for half an hour, and then I'm going to, have some dance therapy, and then I'm going to have a healthy breakfast, and then I'm going to go for a run, and you have all, you filled with all this kind of the sense of newness and the sense of clean slate, that we can all get a bit carried away. And this doesn't only happen at New Year, although more noticeably at New Year because of this whole kind of New Year's resolution pressure, that we all fall into the trap of being a little bit over enthusiastic with what goals we're setting ourselves, and how we can actually put those goals into practice. The number of times that I've, kind of gone downstairs to my husband and said, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I've created this course, I'm going to do this workbook, and then I'm going to do this for my Patreon, and then I'm going to create this for them, and then I'm going to do this guide for this. And, he sits there and he just smiles. And when I've finished, come down from my little mountain of enthusiasm, he says to me, and when are you going to do this? And it's this kind of casual reminder that, yeah, okay, well, maybe that's a little bit unrealistic. So when you think about what it is that you've set yourself to do with regards to your spiritual journey, okay, maybe you want to meditate more, maybe you want to do more yoga, maybe you want to take more walks in nature, maybe you want to read more books, maybe you want to learn more tarot, oracle, whatever it is. Take a long, hard look at what you're pressuring yourself to do. Okay, what is it that you've kind of told yourself you need to do in order to prove that you're making some sort of progress? And then compare that with the circumstances in your life, the fact that you might be working, that you've got children, that you've got pets, perhaps you've got a garden that needs maintaining, perhaps you've got household chores that need doing, or elderly relatives to look after. You've got to weigh up what goals you've set yourself with the lifestyle that you're leading, because I can plan till I'm blue in the face, how many lives I want to do on Patreon and how many courses I want to teach, but I've only got so much time in my calendar. I can't fill it all, because then I have no time to sit and plan new stuff, and then I have no time to sit and relax, and then I have no time to sit and unwind. And that's so important. So you have to compare what you're setting yourself to the time that you have and your lifestyle. If you've set yourself the task, as I did at the beginning of this year, that I was going to wake up half an hour early and I was going to do a tarot reading every day, if you find that that's not working for you, instead of, beating yourself with a stick and going, oh, I'm so crap because I haven't stuck to my goal, look at why you haven't stuck to it. So for me personally, because I have a part-time day job as well as my tarot that requires me on 3 mornings to get up early, it was really, really difficult on those mornings to wake up early in order to sit and do my tarot and, write all the stuff down and post it on Instagram. And so what I did was I would do some of the reading in the morning, and then I would write the notes at nighttime, and I would actually post at nighttime, because at nighttime, last minute before I go to bed, is when I have more free time. So I didn't kind of get lost in this whole, oh no, I set this goal and it didn't work for me. I just throw the whole goal out the window. I know it's important for me to do a daily tarot reading, but when I looked at where it was in my lifestyle, I realized that I just needed to change the time that I was doing it, to a time that was kind of more suitable. So that's tip number 3, is to look at the goals that you've set yourself and view them alongside your life commitments, your work commitments, your family commitments. Reduce them if you have to. I don't do a tarot reading every day. Reduce them if you have to, but know that that's okay, all right? And don't beat yourself up about it. Sometimes they just need, tweaking. Okie dokie. Tip number 4. Got a bit of a finger issue going on here. Tip number 4 is to completely change your routine. Okay. Sometimes the issue is we become well, we just become bored. We become stagnant. With me personally, I do get bored very, very quickly. I cannot do the same thing every single day because I'd go crazy. I like to change things up, and it also, what I do on a daily basis with regards to my spiritual journey is really very heavily dependent on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling, hugely enthusiastic about, working on my intermediate course workbook, then I'll wake up early, and by, 6 o'clock, I'm there at the computer and I'm typing stuff up, and I make progress because I'm in the mood for it. Not everybody's like that. Some people like routine. But what I'm saying is that if you have a routine and you find yourself sitting down in that routine and going, oh, then you need to change it. Now, some of the things I suggest is specifically for tarot reading is to change the deck that you're working with, if that's possible. Not everybody has more than one deck, but changing the deck that you're working with sometimes prompts you to become interested again, because the pictures that you're looking at with the cards are unfamiliar, or certainly they're not as familiar as the deck that you work with constantly. And this will, spark new intuitive pathways. It will spark new ideas, and it might even spark new meanings, because the images on the cards will be different, and you'll be encouraged to read them in a different way. So that's kind of tip 4A is to change the deck that you're working with. Tip 4B is to change the spread that you work with most regularly. So if you work with a one card draw every day, try working with 2 cards and just seeing how those cards interact. If you work with a I don't know, an embrace, release, and advice, try working with a past, present, future spread. And again, it's a bit like the previous tip with working with a different deck. The fact that you've changed the way that you're having to read the cards will prompt something new. It will prompt new intuitive pathways, and it stops the boredom settling in, because every day well, yeah, I've already said that. Okay. So change the spread. And if you're bored with spreads, try free form. Just try just drawing cards and just coming up with meanings without having the the structure of a spread. What can also be quite fun actually is to find a silly spread. Okay, so something not serious, not how can I don't know, chase my destiny, or something that's heavy going. Look for a fun spread on the internet of, like, how can I tell what my cat's thinking, or how can I work out what my dog's favorite food is. Okay, something really silly and fun. For the same reason as all the other things, it's different. It will spark interest. It will fire your neural pathways in different ways, and it just gives you something to think about. And the fact that it's a little bit fun, and when you're feeling demotivated and a bit disillusioned by the whole thing, having a little bit of fun, creates a little bit of lightness in your soul. Let's see, what was the next one? Change routine. Yes, also, so tip number 4C is to change the time that you do your reading. So like I mentioned with mine, sometimes I do mine in the morning, sometimes I do mine in the evening, but that's dependent on my schedule. If you do your reading at a certain time during the daytime, try doing it a different time, and just seeing if that works for you. Even if you're not doing a reading every day, if you decide that just doing it on the weekends is better for you because you have more time, then that's ultimately better. Tip number 4D with regards to changing your routine is actually changing your routine as such. Okay, so let's say your ritual, if you like, is you sit down with a cup of coffee, you light a candle, you say your little prayer, or whatever, you think about a question, you write the question down, you shuffle your cards, you draw the cards. Change that routine. Maybe instead of lighting a candle, I don't know, perhaps burn some incense. Okay, instead of change the wording of the little prayer that you offer up to your guides, beforehand. Change the wording a little bit. Maybe learn a different way to shuffle your cards. Anything that's different, that will break the monotony, because anything that breaks the monotony is going to spark interest and create new neural pathways. I may have mentioned that. So that was tip number 4. Okie dokie. So tip number 5 is cleanse, cleanse, cleanse. And I'm talking here physically and energetically. Okay, so physically, what I mean is if you have a space in the house that you do your readings. So for instance, mine is a desk, and I have my crystals there, and I have the decks that I'm working with, and I have a selenite lamp, and I have a little statue and a plant, or whatever. Physically cleaning is taking everything off, wiping the desk down with some nice hot soapy water, spraying some nice smelling furniture polish on the desk, I don't know, wiping all the dust off the crystals, wiping my selenite lamp and giving everything a little dust and rearranging it and putting it back on the counter. That's cleaning physically, okay? Because sometimes the place just becomes stale just because it's dusty. And that in turn affects us energetically. So the next step is actually cleansing energetically. And when I'm talking about that, this is entirely personal preference as well. Not everybody cleanses energetically. I'm not saying this is something you have to do, but it's just a suggestion. So cleansing energetically would be perhaps sorting your tarot decks back into order, because sometimes that just gives them a nice refresh, a nice kind of reset. You can also put them on a windowsill in sunlight or moonlight with a clear quartz crystal on top. So clear quartz is really good for cleansing. It's a good all-rounder crystal. You can pop that on top, and that will cleanse the deck. You can waft some, sage incense, or, nice smelling incense over all your decks and over your reading area, over yourself. With the intention, you could even say something out loud, because as we know, intention is very important. I intend to cleanse my space and myself energetically so that I can be, fit for doing readings and learning more tarot, or some words that suit you better. And those things, so cleansing physically and cleansing energetically, can also help on a different type of level. But hey ho. So that was tip number 5. And the last one is tip number 6. So tip number 6 is to take a break. It's kind of related to the first tip. The first tip was chill out. That was more about acceptance and just not beating yourself up for feeling the way that you are. But tip number 6, take a break, is really just take some time out. It's okay, we all need to do that sometimes, to gather ourselves, to gather our thoughts, to gather our wits, to gather our emotions, to gather our intuition, whatever it may be. So just take a step back from everything, and then perhaps when you come back to whatever it is that you wanted to come back to, whether it be your tarot reading or your spiritual studies, then do the cleanse, then clean everything nicely, physically, then energy cleanse. And that way you're kind of fresh and clean for the new start, to kind of come back into it and, kind of tackle it on a clean slate. But don't be afraid to take a break, because, hey, we all need a break every now and again, right? So that was it. So there are your 6 tips to help you tackle spiritual burnout. I hope you found them interesting and useful. You know the score. Please, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And I will see you again in the next video. Cheers then. Bye for now.